Burnt Hills Boston Lake graduate Jason Morris won a silver medal in judo at the 1992 Olympic Games in Barcelona. 23 years later, he continues to chase Olympic glory, but just not for himself. The 48-year-old owns his own dojo in Glenville, the Jason Morris Judo Center, and some of the top judo talent in the country have moved to Glenville in order to train with Morris. He also founded and runs the Morris Cup, a two-day judo event over Columbus Day weekend that attracts athletes of all different skill levels to the capital region. And the annual Morris Cup is now in its 14th year. And to talk about it, among other things, the founder of the Morris Cup, Jason Morris. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
So 14 years now. Back when you started this, how many kids did you have?
The first one we held at the Scotia Middle School, and I think we had 150 kids.
And now what's the goal? What's it grown to?
Last year was our record year, and we had 560. And now we hold it at the Burnt Hills High School because it's too small for the Scotia School.
And you've got people coming in to compete in this tournament from all over the Northeast and from Canada as well.
That's correct. I mean, I've developed a relationship with the Quebec people because I trained in Montreal a lot during my career, and it's filled out from there. Ontario and a lot of the areas from a lot of the places from there come down because we're pretty. It's like 5 hours from Toronto,
yep.
3 hours from Montreal, so it works well for them too.
So much of your career has been invested in youth development in your sport, not just training the elites that have a chance to potentially qualify to the Olympics, and we'll talk about those athletes in a minute, but really at the beginning level as well. Why are you so passionate about that?
That's a good word to use, passion. That's what's kept me competing, and now as a coach, I'm everything about the Olympics. I love the Olympics first and foremost, and my sport happens to be judo. And I've developed a real passion for that, working with the kids, and then watching them grow, like many of the coaches, enjoy seeing the successes they have from the hard work that they put in.
And so from the youngest age, and what is that smallest age when you start teaching kids judo?
Well, us personally at the Jason Morris Judo Center, we start them as young as 4 years old. And
really?
Of course, my daughters who are now five. They do it as well, and hopefully that they'll have the courage enough to compete in the tournament this next weekend.
Okay. All the way up to your elites, and right now I know you've got at least 3 that you're hoping can make a legitimate run and try to qualify for the Olympics in Rio next summer.
Well, the first and foremost right now is a local girl from she's from Burnt Hills. And right now she's currently on a 6-week tour. She'll be in Portugal, competing in Portugal. She'll be competing in France, Abu Dhabi, and then Mauritius.
I mean, it's not a bad life being Hannah Martin right now because she gets to travel all over the world. And I guess that's maybe a selling point to judo, too, that if you reach the highest level, you get to explore the world doing what you love.
Oh, without a doubt. Judo is a lot, especially now. We've grown quite a bit. It's a lot like tennis, and tennis has a lot of events on their tour in fantastic places. Judo is getting a lot like that. I've never experienced it when I was a player, a tour like Hannah's on right now.
Yeah. Where is Hannah ranked right now in the world?
I haven't looked at her ranking right this second because it's changing all the time.
Yeah.
But her Olympic qualification, which is different from the actual ranking, she's right on the edge. So with results between now and May, she's going to make it.
When your competition days were over, did you always know that you wanted to get into coaching?
Pretty much. It's been a pretty good natural progression for me. I always knew I'd be involved with some part of the coaching. Didn't know exactly how that was going to play out. Didn't know exactly how the club thing would work out. As you know, my father passed away in Barcelona, so that kind of threw a wrench in the works as to where we were headed. So I competed for another 8 years, and then the club coaching thing kind of naturally evolved. People started requesting me, and they didn't force me, but they encouraged me to start having these practices and whatnot. Next thing you know, I had a club.
And it's grown into what it is, where some of the top judo players in the country will come and train with you in Glenville. But let's talk about your competing days, the pinnacle, and you were ranked #1 in the world at some point in your career. Would the pinnacle still be considered the silver medal in Barcelona?
That's an interesting, good question, interesting question. For me, I had a couple other wins that were more special and more important to me. The Olympic win was more of a relief because during that time I was pretty much basically top 3 in the world for about 6 years. And I had never broken through yet what we call like, you know, like in tennis, for example, I never got to the finals of Wimbledon, or I always lost the big matches. So once I actually, that happened, it was more of a relief. I mean, it was great and all, but it was more of a relief to win the big one.
We just saw the footage. What do you think when you see that hair?
Actually, there's a wrestler right now. I just saw him. I can't think of his name. He's a New York AC wrestler, and his is way longer than that. And apparently, he's bringing it back.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. It's going to come back around. It's always cyclical. You got the medal, right?
I do.
From Barcelona.
I do.
Let's take a look at that. Where do you keep it? Do you have it on display at your house?
Actually, not a lot of people get to see it because I have it in a. You can hold that.
Nice.
I have it in a safe at home, and because I don't want it to get ruined, right?
Yeah,
I only have one.
Yeah.
I tried 4 times, I only got the one, so it means a lot to me.
Yep. Do you ever, other than when you've got somebody like me saying, take it out of the safe and let's take a look, do you ever reflect on it?
Nope.
Just stays there.
It stays there. I mean, you know, that's who I am. That's what's defined me in my athletic career. Is this medal? Even though you know my career lasted 20 years and had lots of victories within there. It's just like, again, like I go back to tennis. I'm a big tennis fan. You know, they like to talk about the Grand Slams, but these guys have wins in all kinds of events.
Sure.
And a lot of them, take Roger Federer, who wins that tournament in Germany, the Halle tournament, and he's won it 8 times, and I'm sure it's special to him.
Right.
I've had a lot of, you know, successes over my career that aren't necessarily the big ones. But
Right. Let's talk about how you found judo, because you were an elite wrestler growing up. Did that come before judo?
The wrestling thing happened, I started in 10th grade. So I was a judo player first.
Okay.
I found judo by coming home with a flyer that said judo, and to be honest with you, I think, you know, just like many people now, they don't know what judo is. So I don't think my mother knew what that was, and possibly thought it was kung fu, like remember David Carradine in the Kung Fu show? I was a fan of that, so maybe we thought it was that. We went there, I saw what you saw there, the flips and the throws, and I was like, oh, this is great.
Finally, is it at all frustrating? Because when you devote your life to a fringe sport and you see all the coverage that the mainstream sports get, but you know how much fun, how exciting, how passionate people can get over judo if they find it and experience it, is it ever frustrating that more people don't find it?
Oh, for sure. Very frustrating. You know, the whole Olympic movement is that's a concern because in our country, you know, your main sports are basketball, football, baseball, and the kids kind of gravitate to that 'cause it's on television, you know, constantly.
Yep.
How many kids are looking to be an Olympic swimmer? You know, not many.
Yep.
And that's you know, these Olympic sports are very tough from the beginning. You know, throwing a ball is fun. I love football.
Yeah.
I love basketball, but I'm not going to be an NBA player, right?
Yeah.
So it can become frustrating. But you just keep plugging along. Coming on Kelly O'Donnell's show is a help to let people know that we exist, and that we have really, you know, a high level of training here, and you could really do something with our sport if you're introduced to it.
And a good chance to check it out is at the Morris Cup, which is coming up, and registration still available?
Registration is still available up until the day of the event.
All right. Jason Morris, thank you so much for being here. Well, we don't need technology to break down just how ugly my golf swing is, but we'll use it anyways, thanks to Union College. That's coming up next on The Edge.